Hi there, welcome to this week's Stocks in Focus video. So for this particular video over here, we're going to be focusing on one of the very interesting industry that I've been monitoring since last year. And if you've been following some time, you probably hear about me talking about some of these companies related to this industry as well. Okay, and this is none other than the semiconductor space. Now, personally, I feel that it's still one of the booming industry that you definitely want to pay very close attention to. Okay, simply because looking forward, going into the future, we're definitely having a lot of like AI trend, technology, whether is it from the electrical vehicle space, computing, blockchain. So all this requires semiconductor, okay? And this industry moving forward, I would say give it another 2 or 3 years, even up to 5 years. Definitely there are quite a bit of potential that you do not want to miss out on. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to show you some screen, walk you through some of the analysis. And today we're going to focus on one individual particular stock and share with you my entire process from fundamental, technical, valuation, going into seasonality as well. Okay, and from there, hopefully will give you a much better understanding about this company and to help you make a decision as to whether is it worth to be investing into it. Now, first up over here, let me bring you to this particular interview, that's done some time back. You can see over here, right? Okay, September 13, not too far off. But I think this is very interesting because they are basically interviewing Gavin Baker, okay, who is the founder of Atlas Management, and of course, why am I sharing with you this piece of article here? Because he is someone who is, I would say, a specialist in the semiconductor industry, and who else better to really have an opinion on other than him, okay? So I'll drop a link in the video below, okay? If you're really interested, I would suggest that you give it a read to get a better understanding about, someone in the industry for many years, what is their view and opinion on the upcoming trend on semiconductor. Okay, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but basically give it a read so that you have a much better understanding of that. Okay, so today I'm going to focus on this particular company to share with you my analysis and the view of it. And the company name is Lam Research Corporation. Okay, ticker symbol LRCX. Now, if you have been following us for the past few weeks in terms of the Stocks in Focus series, you'll probably be very familiar with some of the things that we walk through. Okay, fundamental, technical, including the seasonality, the valuation metrics to give us a guide as to whether is this company worth the investment. Okay, so I've done up all this for you guys. So in terms of like the fundamental quantitative score, you can see over here LRCX Lam Research have a score of 19 out of 21. Okay, and the one thing that was a little bit to the downside, right, that it did not manage to score like full marks out of the 21, is because this, based on the latest report, right, financial report that was released, the change in cash was negative. Okay, that does not necessarily mean it's bad. It's perhaps they're using maybe some cash to reinvest into maybe fabrication facilities, etc. Right? So you definitely need to then if you want to understand a little bit on this, why is the change in cash negative? You probably need to dive a little bit deeper to understand where did they use their money. Okay, but other than that, the rest of it are looking very neat. Okay, net income positive, cash flow positive. Profit margin is above 25, which is solid, which means that Lam Research is one of the giants out there. Okay, ROA, ROE, ROI, all very solid. Current ratio is great. The other one that actually did not have a very high score is of course debt to equity. It's fairly high, close to about 83%, which is not too much of a concern, but it's just not contributing to a very high score. Okay, but to me overall a 19 out of 21 is I would say safely you can invest in this particular company. Okay, and they pay off dividend, which is solid. Okay, so with that, let's go to the valuation metrics, right? I'm using mainly the dividend discounted model, DDM for short. Okay, so Lam Research pays off an annual dividend of $5.20. The current market price of LRCX is trading at $586. Right? Based on the recent kind of like dividend growth rate, the company is increasing its dividend by 38.5%, which is very, very high. Okay, I'm not expecting this to be kind of sustained. Okay, but let's just base on the metrics where they are growing their dividend by about 38%. The terminal growth rate here I put in is 5%. Okay, and that gave me like crazy valuation, right? Based on this setting here, you can see the IV, the intrinsic value calculated out is 2004, which is crazy, right? It's not really that realistic. Okay, so I would say maybe we'll tone down a little bit if, let's say, the expected dividend growth rate actually changes to, let's say, 25% instead of like 38, which is crazy, and not sustainable. Okay, you can see that the IV right now is updated to about $900, right? In other words, what we have right now in terms of the market price at 580 is still considered undervalued, right? If you compare that, it's at the discount. Okay, but of course that does not mean immediately it's a jump in and invest, but it gives you kind of like a reference point telling you that it's a good opportunity right now to consider LRCX. Okay, so fundamental 19 out of 21 is a very solid investable company. Okay, valuation is great. It's at the discount at this moment. So let's take a look at the charts and the seasonality as well. Okay, so I'm also including here to share with you a little bit in terms of the semiconductor index, right? If you'd like to understand a little bit more, just do a simple Google research and you'll be find out a bit more information about what SOX is. Okay, so this is basically just an index to track like the over semiconductor industry, what trend are they in, okay? And of course, from a daily scale of things, you can see we're definitely in an uptrend, okay? And to me, I think it's still untapped. Okay, because with the future trends coming in, which I mentioned, right? AI, EV, technology, blockchain, everything requires semiconductor. Okay, and the demand will probably shoot up way faster than the supply. Okay, and that would then cause an imbalance of supply and demand, and companies that are involved in semiconductor producing it will probably be the best investment opportunity. Okay, but of course, this is not something that is short term. Personally, I'm looking at it from a horizon of at least like 2 to 3 years in the future. Okay, but right now is, I think, the time to start doing a little bit of research and maybe start investing into some of these solid companies, because by the time, again, the media picks it up, the retailers pick it up, I think it's probably too late, right? So do pay attention to that. Now, so let's go to the chart on LRCX, right, which is Lam Research. Okay, so there are two factor or elements that I've included over here. First is the technical chart, of course, and the second is the seasonality factor. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about that later on. But you can see from a technical point of view, we have been in consolidation since earlier this year in April, right? Mid-April, price has been doing its consolidation for up to today. Right now in September, I think it's like close to 5 months. Okay, and that is great for me because it means that eventually the price will have to break out, right? Either to the upside or to the downside. And with such a solid company, fundamentally, as well as like the macro environment supporting semiconductor in the future, the chance or the probability of this company breaking to the upside is very, very high. Okay, so I'm personally very interested to keep a very close watch about somewhere around 560. Okay, now suppose price were to come back down towards 560, you can see in the past it has tested one time, second time. I mean, this time around, if it comes down and it starts to kind of show some sign of rejection and not able to break through impulsively, okay, that would be a good sign for us to be looking at opportunities to get involved in Lam Research. Okay, now last factor over here that I also include in terms of like some of the analysis process is seasonality. Okay, so based on the past 10 years, okay, between 23rd of September, which is basically tomorrow, okay, based on when you're watching this video, I'm recording in on 22nd of Sep, right? So tomorrow is the 23rd of Sep towards 6th of November. Based on the past 10 years, we have a good 90% probability that Lam Research is going to rally. Okay, not 100%, but a solid 90%, which means out of 10 years, 9 years rallied during this period, 23rd of Sep to 6th of November. And the average return during this, 10 years on a year-to-year basis, average was 14%. Okay, and to give you some idea about 14%, let's say if price were to come down a little bit towards 560, okay, a 14% kind of rally on average will bring us back towards the top of this trend line that I've drew over here. Okay, can it break above 14%? Definitely, right? This is just basically an average between 23rd of Sep to 6th of November. So for me over here, I think, Lam Research, whether you're looking at short-term trading opportunity or even as a long-term investment play into the semiconductor space, definitely you want to pay close attention to it, right? If you're trading, then of course you can look out to enter somewhere around 560, okay, ride the seasonal trend, get out by maybe about 6th of November, and then that's it, right? That's short-term play. But if today you're looking for long-term investment, you can of course incorporate all this. Maybe get involved tomorrow somewhere around 560, okay, and you're gonna hold it, as long as the fundamentals stays true and the price keeps going higher, you can keep holding on to that. Okay, so I hope this little video here, this week's Stocks in Focus, is definitely a very important episode because I strongly believe, I have huge conviction towards the semiconductor space. I do have a couple of investment in selected companies related to semiconductor already. Okay, for example, TSM, Intel, Nvidia. These are just some of it, and of course, we're still looking at adding on to a little bit on it to kind of increase our exposure. Okay, but of course, if you are doing that as well, make sure you manage your entire risk properly. Okay, do not get overly exposed in one single investment play as well. Okay, so if you enjoy such video like that, do support by giving it a thumbs up. Okay, like this video, share with me in the comments below as well, what some of the companies that you're looking at. Are you also investing into companies related to semiconductor? If you do, okay, share with me in the comments below as well. So with that, all the best to your investment journey, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Stocks in Focus.